Top Fuel Racing Series is on the air, live from Sebring. It's the Anthony Trepasso Sr. Memorial. Six years ago, I lost a man that was there for me every step of the way, and I can't thank Scott and the guys enough for putting this race on, and more in memory of my father tonight. As qualifying underway, sorry about this, folks, but a little more emotional than I thought I was going to be. Quick rundown of your point standings. Jeff Hollingsworth atop of the pile. Chris Samar at 11 markers back. Scotty Brinson, defending series champion, 12 markers off of Chris, 23 out of the lead. Keith Mayato, another 13 back, tied with Chris Walker for fourth. Paul Crumry currently sitting in sixth, with 38 markers out of the lead, 2 off of Mayato and Walker. Robert Dudley's another 12 back. Mark Walker, another 5 out. And then things really start to heat up. You got Mark Walker 5 off of Dudley, currently sitting in 8th. It helps if I can learn how to spell here, doesn't it? It's Kevin O'Brien, currently sitting in 9th, 8 markers away from Mark Walker. 1 marker back is Karam, currently holding down the number 10 slot. And 11th is only another marker back from him, and that's Johnny Antonucci. So the point standing's pretty tight right now. Qualifying underway. Nate Siefker currently sitting at top of the pile. Damon Martinez right on his heels, though. Excuse me. Sage Karam currently holding down the number 3 slot, right on the heels of his teammate. And then you've got a 7/10 gap to last week's winner, Keith Mayato, currently holding down the number 4 slot. Driving the only Alfa Romeo IR18. As you see Keith there currently in front of Rick Hunderfeen. Rick currently holding down the number 8 slot. "12 minutes left in this open qualifying session." Mike Granty, Robert Dudley, Paul Crumry, and Sam Cooper Bennett still have yet to take times. Jeff Hollingsworth just starting his flyer now, your points leader, coming through the S's in the midsection. Through turn 5 right now. Hard on the binders into 6. This is where you can make or lose a ton of time, is coming through this second sector where Hollingsworth is right now. It's such a technical section, and you're on concrete, and now you're on the pavement, and you're back onto the concrete. If you don't have the car set up just perfect, and by that I mean if you don't get your braking done when and where you need to, you're going to be along for the ride at that point. Coming through the fast sweeper that leads to the switchback that leads to the long straightaway here. And you got to love old airports. coming out of 16, coming into turn 17. Now, 17 is definitely a monster. A lot of old concrete, and you can see the car bouncing through there. Most cars coming through turn 17 will catch more airtime than a skateboard at the X Games. Hollingsworth up to 8th on his first lap. And Sage Karam starting to reel in Nate Siefker. Has cut that gap down to just over a 10th. Now, through turn 17 will catch more airtime than a skateboard at the X Games. What in the hell just happened there? Hollingsworth up to 8th on his first lap. And we're going to start killing people. As we're following along with Sage Karam as he comes down the long chute, leading into turn 17. 75 minutes scheduled for tonight's event. Karam goes across the line to nip a little bit more away at Nate Siefker's pole time. 69 thousandths of a second to the good for Siefker so far, as Karam's still on another flyer. Sam Cooper Bennett out on track right now, just starting his flyer. And that was Karam flashing by your pole sitter. That was Nate Siefker in the bright yellow car. And Raul Alvarez in the Lucky Strikes. Number 86. So Karam definitely on a tear right now, as he may have timed this one just right to get a nice pull down the back chute. Coming through that fast sweeper that leads on to the long straightaway that used to be a World War II runway. Gonna get a healthy toe off the car in front of him. Let's see what type of lap time this is gonna put up for Karam. The draft is definitely your friend down this long chute. And Karam to the top of the pile. Siefker bring it into the pits. Looks like he's looking for four fresh Mr. Feelgoods. Well, we do have a quick moment. Would like to remind you that you are watching a presentation of the Top Fuel Racing IR18 Series, the Anthony Trepasso Sr. Memorial from Sebring. Tonight's broadcast being brought to you in part by AZ Direct, your online electronic superstore. They do ship worldwide. You can find them on their Facebook page, AZ Direct, for all your sim peripheral needs. Our good friends over at Discount Nutrition. For all your supplement needs, you want to go to dncsupplements.com. PK Motorsports. Paul Crumry doing some of the most beautiful paint schemes in all of iRacing. For more information on how you can get your own, you can find Paul Crumry on his Facebook page, Paul Crumry, PK Motorsports. Tonight's overlay being brought to you by PZ Overlays. Paul Zoda providing some of the most beautiful overlays in all of iRacing. For more information on how you can get your own, you can find Paul Zoda on his Facebook page. It's Paul Zoda, PZ Overlays. So Siefker out on track right now. Take a quick look at our weather. Ambient air temperature 83 degrees. On-track temperature, 92 degrees. So relatively cool for sunny southern Florida. Siefer with 4 fresh tires on that number 2 NLR livery. Coming around to start another flyer. Let's see what type of lap time Siefer can lay down here. Gonna need to blister one if he's got any hopes of catching Sage Karam. Karam's the first one to go sub 140s. Good grief. Your current points leader, Jeff Hollingsworth, currently sitting 9th quick. Scotty Brinson, your defending series champion, currently sitting 6th quick. And both of them have stated time and time again they're not really road racing specialists, so they're just kind of hoping to survive here tonight. 14 cars have taken time so far. Still waiting on Paul Jourdain, Mike Grandy, Robert Dudley, and Paul Crumry to lay down flyers. 3 minutes left, so if they're going to do it, they're going to need to roll it quickly here. They need to get their outlap and their flyer in time before the session runs out. Siefer with no help down that long chute, leading into the very bumpy turn 17. That thing is a monster. As you can see, that car very unstable coming through there. Siefer to the top of the pile. The lap of his career, no drafting help, goes 39.7. Wow. Let's see what type of lap Sage Karam can come back with. 2 of the resident aliens here on the road courses. The third one, of course, being Damon Martinez, who currently sits in 3rd. Karam down the long chute here, leading into that very bumpy turn 17. A little bit different line for Karam than we saw with Siefer coming through turn 17. Onto the front chute, across the stripe, and that was an outlap for Karam. So he's going to get one final shot at it. For Mr. Feelgood's finally up to temperature on the 22. Check in with your current 4th place. 4th place on track, 4th place in the point standings. Keith Mayato currently tied with Chris Walker. As you see, Mayato in 4th in qualifying, Walker 6th in qualifying. No points for qualifying, luckily for both of those guys. But look for both of them to start moving their way through the field. As Mayato going through the switchbacks, leading on to the long chute. Dips 2 into the grass, and that lap is done. Let's check back in with Sage Karam as he's coming through the switchbacks. Leading onto the long chute, just barely keeping it off the grass. Gonna have one final shot at it. Down the long chute he comes. No drafting help for Karam. Into the monster that is turn 17, and down the front chute, across the line. Not gonna do it. So Siefker gonna take pole tonight. Jeff Wubker joining the session at the last second. Not going to lay down a qualifying time. Paul Jourdain not able to lay down a clean lap. Mike Grandy not able to lay down a clean lap. Robert Dudley and Paul Crumry also not laying down clean laps. But 14 cars taking time. 19 cars in the session. So Siefker by 0.6 goes to the top of the pile. And Sebring, not the easiest track to get around. So, going to be interesting to see how this one plays out for everybody. Is Scott Brinson bringing it around for... he's calling it a session, last car out on track. So that is going to do it for qualifying. And if that's any indication of what we have to look forward to coming up here for 75 minutes, timed race here tonight at Sebring. Should be right around 35 laps-ish, somewhere in that general vicinity. So, last minute instructions being given to the drivers right now. As we are going to take a quick look at our starting grid. Starting up on the pole, 39.35, Iowa native Mr. Nate Siefker. He's joined with Pennsylvania Posse member Sage Karam on row number 1. Row 2 is going to see Damon Martinez and the Canadian crippler Keith Mayato. Defending series champion Scotty Brinson is going to be joined with Chris Walker in row number 3. Row 4 is going to see Rick Hunderfeen and Chris Simard. Jeff Hollingsworth and Mark Walker roll off in row number 5. Kevin O'Brien and Rolf Just in row number 6. Row 7 is going to see Sam Cooper Bennett and Raul Alvarez. Jeff Wubker and Mike Grandy scheduled to roll off in row 8. Row 9 is slated for Robert Dudley and Paul Jourdain. And starting shotgun on the field, Mr. Paul Crumry. So 19 cars scheduled to roll off in this one. As we are waiting for some stragglers to grid up. There's your pole sitter, Nate Siefker, finally putting it on the grid. Just waiting on Martinez and O'Brien now. And we will have a full field. And Kevin O'Brien liking to pit start. As the field starts to roll out. Sebring, one of the oldest road courses in North America. Again, an old Army base, or an old Army Air Corps base from World War II. Most famous for the 12 Hours of Sebring. Working their way through turn 5 right now. Going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. Again, a lot of these guys, especially those that are up in points, let's take a quick rundown of our points again. Hollingsworth has said time and time again he's not a prolific road racer. Same thing goes for Samard, Brinson, and Mayato. So, going to be interesting to see how this one plays out points-wise before all is said and done. Yeah. So, one of the few road courses where they pace you around the entire facility. A couple different layouts here at Sebring. We are using the international layout, which is the longest of the configurations. Coming into the switchbacks that lead onto the long straightaway that leads into that monster that is turn 17. So 75 minutes getting ready to be put on the clock. According to the algorithm, we should be looking at roughly 40 to 45 laps, depending on how situations play out here. Again, part of an old runway as they head down into turn 17. And you can definitely tell that there were a lot of bombers that used to land right about where they're going through right now, as these cars will get very unstable. Pace car getting ready to make that hard right turn onto pit road. Grandpa, Papa Viagra, it's time to get it on in Sebring. Green flag comes out. Seifker jumps on the loud pedal. Sage Karam right there with him, as they are starting to get a little bit of a gap on Keith Mayato, who's gotten by Scotty Brinson. Side by side through turn 1 they go. Still side by side. Karam with a little bit better of an advantage going into 2. 2 and 3 coming up very quickly, as Karam, Seifker, and Mayato starting to gap Scott Brinson right now, as we are still underway in lap 1. Still a lot of racing left to go. Hollingsworth under pressure right now as Paul Jourdain gets by him coming into turn 8. And already making a ton of headway in the Make 7 Up Yours number 88. That's Paul Crumry. Meanwhile, back at the front, Siefker and Karam starting to put some distance between themselves and Keith Mayato. Siefker right in the slipstream of Karam as they go down that long chute leading into turn 17. Siefker trying to get that nose into some clean air to get some bite as they come across to complete lap 1. Give that lap to Sage Karam. Desperately needed bonus point as Karam tries to climb his way out of the lower half of the top 10 in the point standings. And Hollingsworth getting it all wrong coming through 17. Going to lose a ton of spots. Let's go back and take a look and see what happened there. Just got the braking zone all wrong and continued to get it wrong. Just barely missing the tire barrier. Losing a ton of spots. Oh! Gets into it with Robert Dudley. A little bit of damage on both those cars. Let's see how that affects them as they move forward here. Damon Martinez already up to 12th after pit starting that car. It's Hunterfein and Walker throwing bombs at each other right now. Hunterfein under pressure from Simard right now. Field's starting to get real strung out. And Paul Crumry in trouble. Let's take a quick look here. Just gets it all wrong coming through. I believe that was turn 9. Gets it all wrong. Keeps it off the wall, though, but it's going to lose a couple of spots. Again, real easy to get it wrong coming through those switchbacks. Real technical section through the second sector of this track. As Simard gets by Hunterfein, starts to reel in Chris Walker now. As they work their way through turns 6 and 7. And Sam Cooper Bennett already in the pits. As is Hollingsworth and Jourdain. Jourdain having to tow. What happened there? Let's see what happened here to Jourdain. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he just got it wrong at one point. And I'm not even on the right car. Come on. And that's what happened to Jourdain. Backs it into the wall. Gets ready to come back out. Oh, no. No, don't do it. Okay, tows it. Does the smart thing there. Meanwhile, back at the front, and Paul Jourdain has put it on the hauler. Meanwhile, back up at the front, Sage Karam and Nate Siefker have just flat checked out from Keith Mayato. 4.5 seconds to the good from Siefker in second. As you see him in the yellow car there. To Mayato. Quick check of the weather. And temperature holding pretty decent. Only 93 degree ambient, or track temperature. And this field right now more strung out than a frat boy on a bender, as Mark Walker getting it all wrong, coming through 8. Make that 10. Luckily locks it down, lets everybody get by him till he can safely get that thing refired. And Robert Dudley's on the hook right now. Defending series champion Scott Brinson has Keith Mayato in his sights right now. Now, that's Brinson's 3rd in points currently. Mayato's 4th in points currently. 13 markers separate the two. So, Brinson doing what he can to try to keep Mayato in his sights. And then he's got Chris Simard behind him. Jeff Hollingsworth, not the night he was hoping for, currently sits in 16th. So your points leader not having the night he was hoping for. Keith Mayato, who is 4th in points, sits in 3rd on track. Scotty Brinson, who sits 3rd in points, sits 4th on track. And Chris Simard, who sits 2nd in points, currently sits 5th on track. So major points implications on the line here tonight. And Damon Martinez picking him off already up to 7th after pit starting. Working on Chris Walker right now. Chris Walker currently tied with Mayato for 4th in points. So every point counts for Walker right now. Martinez trying to claw his way back into the top 10 after missing a couple of races. And that's Simard directly in front of them in the Nuclear Banana. As Martinez gets by Walker, now sets his sights on reeling in Simard. As Martinez gets it all wrong coming through 11. Gets it collected up pretty quickly. Now has to do it all over again. You can see in the distance that's Walker and Simard still within the sight line. But Martinez just made it a whole lot more difficult on himself as he's got to reel those guys back in. As Mayato has started to reel in Nate Siefker. Now, did Siefker already burn all the goodie off his tires 7 laps into this event? As Mayato's starting to work on him. What was an 8-second gap is now down to 0.6. And I'm thinking Siefker may have had an oop somewhere, as he is now 9 seconds off of Sage Karam, your current race leader. Again, Mayato running the only Alfa Romeo powered Indy car in existence right now. And I dare say that's points leader Jeff Hollingsworth directly in front of him. And it is. As they flash by Robert Dudley. Dudley 2 laps down. Gives plenty of room. Siefker going to have a great tow off his teammate here down the long chute. Hollingsworth given plenty of room. Oh, they bang wheels coming through 17. Here's what the chopper picked up. That's my auto that you're seeing there in shot. Coming down the long chute. He's going to get a great run going into 17. And they just bang wheels under the bridge. And my auto pointing the wrong way. Going to have to get it collected. Has already lost a handful of spots. As he goes pit side. And probably going to burn his fast repair here. So that's a rough one for my auto. And that promotes Brinson up into 3rd, Simard up into 4th, and Martinez, by default, goes into 5th as he's gotten back by Chris Walker. And we are back live. That's Simard that you see Martinez starting to reel in. So Martinez, one of the road course ringers, trying to make something happen here after electing to pit start. Can't say I blame him, because starts and restarts on road courses are sometimes a crapshoot. As Simard has the rearview mirror of that nuclear banana just filled with Damon Martinez right now. Knows Martinez is coming like a freight train, just gives him the racing line. Real sportsmanship thing to do there for, I dare say, is going to be your points leader when we get out of here, provided he can keep that nuclear banana clean. Chris Simard is going to be back in the points lead. As Mayato and Ralph just slugging it out right there. That's 7th place. So Mayato able to get that car fixed. 4 fresh tires and some fuel. They are currently working lap 10 of 45. So the Canadian taking it to the German as they come into turn 17. And just starting to stretch his legs. Mayato got a ton of work to do. And Unfortunately, folks, this is one of the closest battles on track right now. Just as I say that, Paul Crumry goes, Jeff Hollingsworth goes by Paul Crumry at your battle for 15th. Both these cats one lap down. Again, this field very strung out right now. And I dare say Rolf Just has burned all the goodie off his tires, as Jeff Wubker starting to nip away at the advantage that Just has. Quick look at your top 10. Sage Karam, Nate Seifker, Scott Brinson, Damon Martinez, Chris Samard, Chris Walker, Keith Mayato, Ralph Just, Jeff Wubker, and Mark Walker rounding out your top 10 as we are working lap 11 of 45. 56 minutes left on the clock in this one. And Seifker's really starting to struggle. As I dare say, he has worn all of the goodie off of those Firestone Firehawks. Meanwhile, we are going to go on board with Mr. Sage Karam. We're going to go on board with Mr. Sage Karam and show you what a lap looks like around this place. So that's what one lap around Sebring looks like in the hands of a man that has started quite a few Indianapolis 500s and has seen quite a bit of this place from the sports car series that he used to pilot on a regular basis when he was driving for Lexus. So no stranger to Sebring is Sage Karam, and with a 15-second lead, you're kind of figuring out why, ladies and gentlemen. Didn't so much as put a wheel wrong and just has that thing set on kill right now. We're closing in on 1/3 mark, 14 of 45 laps right now for your leader, Sage Karam. And our closest battle on track right now is right there between Jeff Wubker and the guy in front of him, that is Rolf Just. And green flag stops starting for your top 5 as Walker and Samard both going pit side. So they are the first 2 to blink. Martinez pit started. Mayato had to pit because of damage. That is really shaking this field up right now. As you take a look at your top 5, Sage Karam continues to show the way. 16.5 seconds to the good over Nate Siefker, who currently sits in second. Siefker, 11 seconds to the good over Scotty Brinson, and your leaders are in the pits. Karam already into his stall. 10.4 as Scotty Brinson inherits the lead. So Siefker 10-1. So full boats of fuel for those 2 guys. Martinez is in. Grandy is in. And Robert Dudley has basically put it on the hauler. Scotty Brinson just has to hold on for another lap as he is 4.5 seconds to the good right now. Still has to make his pit stop as we are working the 1/3 mark. Lap 15 of 45. Brinson, Karam, Siefker, Mayato, and Martinez, your top 5. Now, Mayato, mind you, is off sequence from everyone else. Brinson coming down that long chute. 4 seconds to the good. Can he get to the stripe? And you see Sage Karam stalking in the background. Brinson bringing it pit side. Can he get to the stripe before Karam gets to him? The answer is no. So no bonus point for Scotty Brinson for leading the lap as Sage Karam back to the top of the pile. Nate Siefker working with his teammate Jeff Hollingsworth there. And this field more strung out than a frat boy on a bender. as that is Kevin O'Brien and Jeff Wubker throwing hand grenades at each other. I would like to remind you, O'Brien electing to pit start as well, already knocking on the door of the top 10. And O'Brien peels it off and goes pit side. Wubker stays out. Wubker had just come out of the pits as O'Brien goes in. So the only ones we have left to see to go pit side, Jeff Hollingsworth, 12 laps into his current stint, is probably going to be the next one, and there he goes. So Hollingsworth, the last one to pit it slightly off sequence. Next one we're going to see pit side is probably going to be Keith Maiato, who is currently 9 laps into his current stint. There's Sam Cooper Bennett. This is now a battle for position. That's Cooper Bennett in 13th, Hollingsworth in 12th. So Cooper Bennett with the heat into his tires and overcooks it going into, I believe that was 6. Samard getting it all wrong. Let's see what happened there. Here he is coming into 6th here. And just loops it. Gets out of the way. Robert Dudley coming up on him. Samard gets it pointed in the right direction. I'm sorry, that's not Dudley. That was Grandy in the USAF car. Grandy gets it all wrong. Let's go back and take a look and see what happened there. Coming into 11. Just overcooks it, overshoots the turn-in point, and gives the spot to Samard cleanly. Doesn't want to have any issues between the two of them. As we're about to see what happened to Sam Cooper Bennett coming through a 17 right now. Just unfortunately got it all sorts of wrong coming through here. Aha! Cooper Bennett going pit side. And on cold tires, gets it all wrong coming through 3 and 4. So a little bit of a struggle. And that is Sage Karam in the shot that you see, 3rd car in line. Wolf just right behind Cooper Bennett, and then that's your leader, Sage Karam, right behind the two of them. as we are back live. Just giving plenty of room to the leader. And so coming into the switchbacks leading on to the long chute. Karam going to have the advantage here. Just Cooper Bennett moves over, knows what's about to happen, doesn't make any struggle for it. Real gentlemanly racing we're seeing here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to say that I'm proud of these guys for having a lot of give as far as the whole give and take thing happening. You know, everybody playing nicely, if you will. Good to see. So the only downside to all of this is the fact that your nearest battle on track is currently Scott Brinson and Keith Mayato, and there's a 3-second gap between those two guys. There's Brinson, and let's see if we can get Mayato in one of the shots. Yeah, there's Mayato going into one right now. So that is your closest battle on track. And just as I say that, Raul Alvarez gets it all wrong as Bennett goes blowing by him. So trouble for Alvarez. Relegates him back to 15th right now. It'll be 25 to go this time across the stripe. As Jeff Wubker flashes by. So Alvarez 2 laps down. Let's take a quick look at our top 10. Sage Karam, 19.5 seconds to the good over Nate Siefker, who's another 19.5 seconds to the good over third place Keith Mayato. Mayato is 5 seconds to the good over fourth place Scotty Brinson, who is 4.5 seconds to the good over fifth place Damon Martinez. Martinez is 23.5 seconds to the good over sixth place Chris Walker. Walker is 12.7 seconds to the good Chris Simard. And Simard is the last car on the lead lap. So 7th place is your last car on the lead lap, and there's Simard there. Then Rolf Just in 8th, 1 lap down. Jeff Wubker, 1 lap down in 9th. And Mark Walker rounding out your top 10. And your closest battle on track right now is Wubker to Just at 2.2 seconds. So this is your closest battle on track. There's Wubker, and you see Just directly in front of him. So there's Just going into 13. There's Wubker now going into 17. So that is your closest battle on track right now at 1.8 seconds. And we have yet to see the money stop, as it looks like right around 15 laps is about all they're going to be able to get out of these tanks, as far as before the tires have completely just given up the ghost. So Paul Jourdain, the first one to put it on the hauler. Rick Jourdain has put it on the hauler. Robert Dudley has put it on the hauler. And it looks like Paul Crumry has put it on the hauler as well. So 15 cars still running in this one. As Mayato goes pit side. He's going to come out right in front of Chris Walker. Now, there's Walker, there's Mayato, and that is your battle for 4th in points, ladies and gentlemen. These two gentlemen were tied coming into tonight at 36 markers back. Jeff Hollingsworth, not having the night he was hoping for, currently sits in 12th. Chris Simard, who was 2nd in points coming into tonight, 11 markers away from Hollingsworth, currently sits in 7th, 13.5 seconds behind this battle right now that we're watching for 5th. So 23 laps to go. And I dare say both these guys are going to have to pit one more time. And Damon Martinez has caught Scott Brinson. Brinson holding down the number 3 slot. Currently 3rd in points. And that's Damon Martinez, who pit started, is all over his rear wing right now. Martinez to the outside as they haul it off into turn number 6. Martinez just keeps his foot in it and just starts to walk away. Now starts to reel in Mark Walker, who is 10th on track. Martinez could make up a ton of points right now. He'd be knocking on the door to get into the top 10 in points before the night's out. As he was only 13th in points coming into tonight. So could make up a ton of points. Johnny Antonucci, who was 11th in points coming into tonight, not here. And Mark Walker knows what's about to happen and just goes, go ahead, Damon. Walker giving plenty of room to Scott Brinson as well. As Rolf Just coming out of the pits right now. So that moves Mark Walker up into 9th, Just back to 10th. And Mike Grant, he's slugging it out with Sam Cooper Bennett. Let's go ahead and take a look for that one. And Cooper Bennett gets a better run coming out of 12. And Grant, he misses a shift coming into the switchbacks. And Cooper Bennett just walks him going into the long straight. Meanwhile, Sage Karam continuing to show the way as Chris Simard is relegated to a lap down. So that means that the top 6 are the only cars left on the lead lap. Chris Simard currently sitting in 7th, 1 lap down. Chris Walker doing what he can to try to stay on the lead lap, as Keith Mayato has definitely started to stretch his legs. And remember, Walker still has to pit, working 10 laps on his current tire stint. Mayato pitting off sequence, as is Brinson. And Walker getting it all wrong coming out of the long chute. Keeps it off the tire barrier. And there goes Hollingsworth to flash by. As Nate Siefker working on, I believe that was Jeff Webker? Nope, that was Grandy. And have we lost Ralph Just? Nope, there we go. There he is. Coming through 1 right now. Into 2 he goes. As Kevin O'Brien takes a pit side. And that might be O'Brien's money stop, depending on what he can do for fuel here. Make sure we are live. As Chris Walker in danger going a lap down, you see Sage Karam right behind him there. So Walker in 6th, last car on the lead lap. And Sage Karam just on a tear. First car in race trim to go sub 140. As a matter of fact, I think Sage Karam just tied his qualifying lap, 39.717. And then we're almost 30 seconds to Nate Siefker and another 30 seconds back from that to Damon Martinez. As we are currently watching Chris Walker in 6th, Sage Karam, your race leader, about to put him a lap down. As we are 18 to go. Karam in command of this one. check in with Nate Siefker. As a lot of open track behind him, a lot of open track in front of him. Siefker just turning laps right now. Again, 18 to go. Has Chris Walker taken it pit side. That's probably going to be his money stop. Chris Simard bringing it pit side. That's most likely going to be his money stop. As Sage Karam down and away with his money stop. 17 to go. Siefker bringing it pit side. So there's Martinez. Martinez charging the line, gets it mowed right down to the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. So Martinez is in for his money stop as Brinson flashes by. Brinson going to try to put as much distance between himself and Martinez as he possibly can. You see Nate Siefker directly in front of him. Now Brinson still has to make his money stop. And I dare say Keith Mayato is going to need to come in for a splash and dash. And so Martinez down and away, holding down the top 5. Sage Karam, 28.5 seconds to the good. Gets it a little squirrely on cold tires. Coming through that monster that is turn 17. On the front chute. Finally getting some heat into those tires. As Siefker finally on the long chute. As he's coming up on, looks like Sam Cooper Bennett directly in front of him. Now, Cooper Bennett still has to make his money stop as well, as does Wubker, Walker, Hollingsworth, Grandy. That's Mark Walker, by the way. Chris Walker has already made his. Cooper Bennett not wanting to hold Siefker up, just says, yeah, go ahead, bud. Meanwhile, Sage Karam has opened that gap up to 29 seconds. Jeff Wubker brings it pit side, as does SCB and Mike Grandy. Wubker down and away, Granty down and away, Brinson in for his money stop. $15 laps to go. Keith Mayato in third. Excuse me, 3 seconds to the good over Damon Martinez, and Mayato still has to make his money stop. So the question is, what type of stop can Mayato get here? You'll have to pardon me, folks, as I'm trying to find anything that's relatively close on track, and I'll be darned if I can find anybody. And Mike Grandy has put it on the hauler. As Mark Walker brings it pit side for his money stop. There's 23 seconds to the good over Scott Brinson in fifth, and Keith Mayato only 4 seconds to the good over Martinez. So Martinez just has to bide his time right now, and when Mayato goes pit side for his money stop, that's when he's going to pounce. As Mayato gets it all wrong coming through 9. Gets it collected back up. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what did happen there. Backs it into the tires. Might be a little chassis damage there on the 19 of Mayato, as Rolf Just goes flashing by. Sorry, that was Wubker flashing by. The question is, are we going to see Mayato go pit side this time? 13 to go, well within the window of you can make it from here. And hopefully he hasn't burned the fast repair yet, because I dare say with as hard as he hit that tire barrier, he's got to have at least some bent suspension. There he goes, yep. Mayato gonna bring it pit side. As Brinson flashes by. Now the big question is, can Mayato get out in front of Chris Walker? Mayato down and away already. There's Mark Walker flashing by. There's Chris Walker coming through 17 now. Mayato going into 1. So able to salvage that one. Or Mr. Feelgood, some go-go juice, and he should be good to go for the final 12 laps. Meanwhile, Sage Karam currently showing the way. As getting ready to put my auto a lap down, just stalking him. Yeah, cue the Jaws music. So there's my auto. You saw Karam just coming through the corner behind him. Yeah, that's enough of that. So my auto currently sitting in 5th. Let's take a quick look at our top 5. As currently the only cars on the lead lap. Sage Karam, almost 33 seconds to the good over Nate Siefker. Siefker another 28.5 seconds to the good over Damon Martinez. Martinez 27.5 seconds to the good over Scott Brinson. Brinson only 8 seconds to the good over Mayato, but Mayato is in danger of being the next car to go a lap down. Fresh tires and all. So there's my auto, and there's your leader, Sage Karam. So not a ton of separation between my auto and Karam right now. As we are in the waning stages of this one, 11 to go right now. Sage Karam showing the way has led all 35 laps so far. So Karam, Siefker, Martinez, Brinson, Mayato, your top 5. The only cars left on the lead lap. Mark Walker doing the right thing, getting the heck out of the way. And who was that pointed the wrong way? Sam Cooper Bennett getting it all wrong coming through 17. Let's take a look and see what happened to Sam here. Just gets a lot of wheel hop and bang into the tire barrier he goes. Oh, wow. Not the finish he was hoping for. And that's what turn 17 can do to you, folks. That thing is such a monster that even if you get your braking zones right, the car is just so unsettled coming through there that you have got to be up on the wheel more than any other track will go to this season. And that was just the car saying, you know what, F you, I've had enough. Because it's a very deceptive corner. It's a decreasing radius corner. And when you go into it, you think, yeah, I can make this stick. And then about halfway through, you go, oh, this is going to hurt. And that's kind of what just happened to Sam, as still working on my auto. As my auto gets it all wrong coming through 4. Walker goes pit side. So 41 seconds is the gap from Mayato to Walker. They were tied for fourth in points coming into tonight. Samard is going to gain a ton of ground on Jeff Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth came into tonight as your points leader. You see him flashing by there in front of his teammate. Again, Hollingsworth is one of those guys that he'll freely admit that he's not as prolific a road racer as he would like to be. But if you do notice, Jeff is one of 2 drivers out there with 0 incident points tonight. So, may not be the fastest horse in the barn, but it's still going to be clean when all is said and done. But how about Damon Martinez? Pit started, climbed his way up into 3rd, and only has 1 tire off track all night. And I believe that was to avoid a dumpster fire that was taking place in front of him when it happened. So, from the outhouse to the penthouse, Damon Martinez, ESBN, driver of the night. We are still 8 laps to go. Sage Karam continues to show the way. And ladies and gentlemen, I wish I could show you a good battle on track, but Rolf Just to Mark Walker at 4 seconds is the closest battle on track right now. And right now, everybody just trying to just bring the cars home in one piece. As you take a look, Mike Grandy, Kevin O'Brien, Paul Crumrye, Robert Dudley, Rick Hunderfeen, and Paul Jourdain have all put the cars on the hauler. Sam Cooper Bennett's crew still looking over the number 11 to see if they can get that thing fixed and back out on track. Following around with Rolf Just right now, as he's now cut the lead from Walker down to 3.9. It was at 4.2 for a second there. And Nate Siefker's in the pits. Oh no. And there goes Damon Martinez. Martinez flashes by up into 2nd. So 8 laps to go. Siefker didn't think he could make it, and that left the door wide open for Damon Martinez. And the question is, can Martinez make it? Has this changed the complexity of this one right from the rip? Siefker trying to get some heat into those tires. Currently sits in 3rd, 2.5 seconds back as Martinez blows the entrance to 6. Siefker's starting to reel him in, fresh tires and all. 6 laps to go. Sage Karam, 1:05 to the good. 3 cars left on the lead lap. Scott Benson had just gone a lap down. Siefer doing what he can to try to reel in Martinez. Chipping away at that lead slowly but surely. Now the question is there enough time for Siefer to get by Martinez? Catching someone is one thing, getting by him is another. Six to go. Make that 5 to go as Sage Karam is that far ahead, ladies and gentlemen. A minute 6 to the good. Battle for second. The hottest battle on track right now. Siefer on fresh tires. Martinez 11 laps into his tire stint. As they're coming into the long straightaway, give the advantage to Siefer as he's going to have all the drafting help he needs as they haul it off into that monster that is turn 17. And I dare say if either one of them has it left, they're both on that push to pass button. Siefer throws it to the inside. Martinez throws the block. Siefer locks him up and loses a ton of ground. 5 to go. It'll be 4 to go next time across the line for your leader, Sage Karam. As these guys are now starting 5 to go. Siefer throws it up the inside, puts it into full send-it mode. Coming through 3 and 4. Siefer back up into second. Martinez not going to let him get away that easily as they come through turn number 5. Drafting help coming into 6. Hard on the binders. Both of them get it woed down, try to keep it right with each other. Martinez just knows he's just got to bide his time. And Karam is in the pits for a splash and dash. Can Martinez make it to the finish? Four laps to go. Karam with a splash and go. We are currently watching your battle for second between Nate Siefer in the yellow, black, and white, and Damon Martinez in the red and black. Down the long chute they come. Siefer has already made the money stop. He's made that splash and dash. He knows he can make it from here. Martinez, can he make it from here as he's 12 laps into his stint? Still 4 laps to go. These two all over the rear wing of each other. Martinez, pit started, tail end of the field, and has climbed his way all the way up into third. Heavy lap traffic. This could play a part as Martinez full send it mode into turn number 11. Martinez using the lap traffic as a pick, gets by Siefer. Can Martinez make it from here? As we are closing in on 3 to go. Sage Karam, 40 seconds to the good. Martinez and Siefer onto the long straight. They've got Hollingsworth in front of them. Siefker just sends it going into 17. Not much Martinez can do to defend against it, and Martinez has to go pit side. 3 to go. Martinez relegated to third. Can he hold on to it? He's 42 seconds to the good over Scott Brinson, who currently sits in fourth. And Martinez isn't going to need a ton of time in pits, just enough to get the final 3 laps done. What a battle we just witnessed for a while there. And it looks like about 4 gallons of fuel. And here comes Brinson. Brinson going to be pouring on the coals for everything he's worth, trying to reel in Martinez from here. So there's Brinson. There's Martinez going through 5. Your next closest battle is right there. Chris Simard and Jeff Wubker. That's your battle for 7th, right behind Martinez in 3rd. Simard and Wubker. Just hammer and tongs right now for 7th. Popsicle sticks are out for your leader, Sage Karam. 40 seconds to the good over Nate Siefker. Siefker, 28 seconds to the good over Damon Martinez, who's another 15 seconds to the good over Scott Brinson. Major points implications here tonight. As Wubker and Simard still going at it. Wubker with a little bit of a draft coming down the front chute. In the slipstream, gonna duck out, going into 1. Throws it into turn number 1. Can he make it stick? Simard keeps his foot into it. A little bit of dust getting kicked up. Simard with the preferred line. Wubker on the inside, just full send it mode going into 2. Wubker carrying a ton of speed coming out of 4. Puts both tires in the grass. Checkered flag is out as there is your winner. That is Sage Karam coming home with the victory. Siefker, unless he steps on his own junk, looks like Siefker going to be able to hold on for 2nd. And there he is. So let's back that up a little bit. Come on. There is your winner, Sage Karam. Siefker hanging on for 2nd. Damon Martinez hanging on for 3rd. That's not what I wanted to do. That's definitely not what I wanted to do. Oh, bear with me, folks. It's been a long night. So we are going to reach out to the man of the hour. Led all 45 laps of tonight's event. Started outside row number 1. And the only guy to go sub 39 tonight. Your winner, Pennsylvania Posse member, Mr. Sage Karam. Sage, congratulations on the victory tonight.
Yeah, thanks. It was pretty smooth night. I didn't have many issues. Just a couple, 1X's dropping a wheel off the track here and there. But other than that, I was pretty pleased how the night went.
You got to be pretty pleased, especially when you and Siefker were just on a different level through qualifying tonight, and you were able to get the lead on the opening lap and just never looked back from there. Talk us through how difficult this setup was with the conditions tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a hard track to pass at, and I knew that, so I knew I had to try and get the lead as early as I possibly could. I didn't have a great qualifying run, just because I basically did no practice. I showed up and qualifying was my practice, and even the race was my practice and qualifying almost. I had maybe 2 laps before qualifying, and at the end of qualifying, I was just starting to figure it out, but not exactly where I wanted to be. Um, but finally figured it out in the race, and about 10 laps into the race, I felt pretty good. So, I was just kind of cruising along, saving fuel, doing, everything I could do to make sure I bring home the win. And then on the last lap, I just kind of gave it the beans and to see how fast we could really go. And, doing a 38 was pretty cool.
Well, I mean, admit it here though, but the real world experience that you have at this track, especially when you were running with Team Lexus, had to have helped a ton with your familiarity with this facility.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely know this place pretty well. I've raced a lot of cars here, had a lot of laps here, and it's definitely a track where I just knew, like, if I just showed up, I would be pretty decent at without any practice, knowing this car as well as I do as well. So um, it was just a track I'm comfortable at, and it was just a matter of getting used to the setup. And once I got used to the setup, it was pretty, it was pretty easy as far as just turning in consistent laps. At first, it seemed pretty tough, but I got a handle on things, and we just put our head down, just consistent laps, and that's all it took.
Well, moving forward, and joining us now is Chief Cook and Bottle Washer of the Top Fuel Racing Series, Mr. Scott Brinson. Scott, we're at Auto Club next week, are we not?
Las Vegas.
No, Vegas.
Vegas.
Kansas, and then Auto Club. Auto Club will be the last race before the 21-day break that we're going to take
So, Sage,
March 13th.
with Vegas coming up, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a love-hate relationship with that facility.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, the last time I was at Vegas, I watched one of, my good buddies in racing, pass away. So, definitely not a cool spot for me to go to, but, if it's on the calendar, it's on the calendar, and I got to go there. So, um, I don't think I've ever actually turned a lap there, to be honest. I've never been there in real life in any car, and I don't think I've turned a lap there in the sim just because I didn't really want to go there. But, um, I'll be there for the race and do what I can, and we'll see what happens. But like you said, it's a love-hate relationship at Vegas. It's a love-hate relationship at Pocono for me. That being my hometown, and everything that's happened there. With me and Robbie and Justin Wilson. There's a couple tracks coming up that I have a love-hate relationship with, but as part of being a driver is you kind of gotta, gotta know this is your job, and sometimes you gotta realize even though there's bad experiences at these places, you guys gotta go back and you gotta do your job, and sometimes it sucks, but at the end of the day, that's what we get paid to do, and even if it's in the sim, I don't like going there, but I know I gotta, so we'll do our best.
All right. Well, Sage, congratulations on just the dominating performance here tonight at Sebring. Looking forward to seeing you next week, and congratulations to you and your team for both putting both cars in the top three tonight.
Yeah, thanks. I just got to thank Damon. He's a great teammate tonight. We're not under the same team name. I got signed by Kawanda, so we're not in the same team name, but we still talk in the same room and strategize together. A great kid. He missed the start, unfortunately. Had to start from pit lane. Feel bad for him, but got to thank all the Kawanda boys. Everybody that has been helping me out in this sim racing world recently. These guys take me to the next level and push me every single day. So gotta thank my girlfriend, family, dogs, you guys for broadcasting, making this available for everybody to watch is really cool. So and also Mr. Brinson, he was a little stern on us today because we've had some bad races in last few races, and rightfully so. He was a little stern on everybody. So glad to see he took ownership in his league and laid the wall down. So thank you, Mr. Brinson, and looking forward to the next one.
All right, Sage, we'll see you
Good
next
job,
week.
Sage.
Yeah, thank you.
So that was our race winner.
Green flag win.
That was our race winner, Sage Karam. Joining us now, a pole sitter, and what a hell of a battle you guys had towards the end there. Mr. Nate Siefker coming home with the second place tonight. Nate, no, it probably wasn't the finish you were wanting, but it worked out for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good battle with Damon there, especially after being so lonely most of the race with, Sage just putting, the act that he did. So, I mean, the first about 6 or so laps, I was right with him, lapping just shy of him, and then I made a little tiny mistake, not even sure how I made it, and about put it in the wall. Thankfully, I did it somehow. And then at that point, it was just about lapping my own pace and not putting into the wall anymore. So, I mean, it was a good result. I mean, that's probably the best I would have hoped for, but I'll take it.
Well, talk us through that qualifying lap that you laid down as we were kind of following you when you did it. Absolutely no drafting help, and you were able to go sub 140. Something you got to be kind of proud of.
Yeah, that was by far my fastest lap all. I only practiced a little bit yesterday and then a little bit today. So, yeah, I was nowhere close to that. I was barely breaking into the 139s like Sage did. And so I put a 139.7 before that. So I knew felt good, but I felt like I could go faster. And that lap was probably the best lap I've ever done in iRacing. I mean, it was so hooked up. I had that first section right. I had the hairpin right. I got that S section right. And I got the backstretch right. And that felt super good. And when I came out of the corner and saw us 5/10 to the good, I knew it was a good lap. And I'll take it for sure. But, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, I got a bonus point for it, but I didn't convert it to a win. I was kind of hoping that maybe I had a pace advantage over Sage, but turns out I didn't. Sage had a better long run pace. It seemed like I had a good short run pace when I wanted to put it on. So it sucks, of course, but I'll take a second place tonight.
Well, moving forward, the series moves to Vegas next week. Your thoughts on going to Sin City?
I've been pretty good there. I mean, it seems like it's a pack race usually when we go there. So more than likely it'll be a crapshoot on who gets it. The win, but hopefully, I have a strong running there. I mean, I seem like I think the last time I was there, I did a really good job and I finished second or something like that. So, I hope I have a good run there, and hopefully just keep it on the track. And I'm not sure how I'm doing for points, but keep racking up points and hopefully, see where I'm at the end of the year.
Well, that's about all you can ever really hope for is, just, put them up on the dash and see how it shakes out.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to, seeing how I progress throughout the year. I might not be able to make every race, but I want to make most of the races. And, if I can just churn out these results, these really good results, the top twos, top threes, I think I'll do fairly well for myself. So just a matter of keeping on the racetrack, not getting into crapshoots and ovals and, being able to keep it on the track on these road courses. And I think I'll do just fine.
All right. Fair enough, Nate. We'll let you get back down and celebrate with the rest of your crew. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
I'd like to thank my beautiful girlfriend for allowing me to do this and not getting too upset. My teammates, they were good company tonight. Jeff Hollingsworth and Chris Walker, they both didn't have the nights they wanted. Jeff had computer issues, and I think Chris just didn't quite have the pace that he needed to have tonight. So I mean, it sucks for those two, but I'm glad that we got a car on the podium.
All right. Well, again, Nate, congratulations on the podium. Looking forward to seeing you next week at Vegas.
Thank you, Tony.
Great job, Nate.
And joining us now, ESPN Driver of the Night.
Hey.
After pit starting this piece, Bringing it home on the podium, Mr. Damon Martinez. Congratulations on the podium finish, sir.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I missed the start. I looked to see a text my mom had sent me like 10 seconds before gridding and chose to answer it foolishly, and then looked back up and I missed the start.
Well, still, it was a masterful job to see you work your way through the field. You and Nate had a hell of a battle there before you had to make the final splash and dash to get you to the finish. Talk us through how you felt the night went overall, especially with how bumpy this track can be at times.
Oh, overall, it ended up being a way better night than expected. I honestly thought I was gonna put it in the wall. I couldn't, in practice at least, I couldn't keep it from spinning half the time. But yeah, after when the track cooled down, it got a lot better, and that helped a lot. But in the beginning, it was pretty hectic, especially the difference in distance that it felt like I was breaking the back of the field. Man, it was crazy. I thought I was gonna wreck.
Well, when you've got a little bit of a speed advantage with the draft, especially in some of the corners that are here, it can get sketchy at times, but you're able to keep it out of trouble. Only dipping 2 tires from what I've seen as far as incident points tonight. So good on you for that one. Moving forward, though, the series moving to Vegas next week. Your thoughts on the track in Sin City?
All gonna depend on how the setup ends up playing out. It's probably gonna end up being a battle for the bottom of the line, but should be fun. It'll
Hopefully not.
yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully there's some tire wear, but yeah, it should be fun. Las Vegas is a fun track to drive. I always enjoy going there in the fixed series.
All right. Well, Damon, again, congratulations on the podium. Congratulations on the ESPN Driver of the Night Award. Looking forward to seeing you next week in Vegas. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
As usual, thank you guys for broadcasting the race. It's always good to kind of go back and watch me pass some people when you get some coverage. And thanks for Scott for running the league. And that's about it.
All right, Damon, looking forward to seeing you next week in Vegas, and congratulations on the podium.
All right, thank you, man.
Good job, damn it.
So that is going to do it for our race finish. Let's check in with Chief Cook and Bottle Washer here in the Top Fuel Racing Series. Mr. Scotty Brinson, heck of a points night for you, sir. Able to come home in 4th.
Yeah, it took every ounce of energy with going through this sickness that I got to get through that. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but as you can hear here in my voice, my throat's starting to go out on me here. So, but I drove my ass off to try to keep up with these aliens out there. And my auto, man, I know he had to make one more stop than me, but dude, he was pushing me all night. I thought he was still going to catch me and take 4th away. And I just tried to pick up my pace there at the end and keep him behind me. And it worked out. We brought home 4th, and yeah, we're only 12 points back now. We were a lot further back last week, but only 12 points within the lead again. So good night for us. And I know you're going to ask me about Vegas. I hate 1.5 miles. So if I can get out of there with a podium finish, I'll be happy.
All right, fair enough, Scott.
But I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to learn to love Vegas because my Raiders are moving there next year. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time in Vegas in the coming years.
See, I was about to ask you that question, but you kind of beat me to it there.
Yeah, it's weird calling them the Las Vegas Raiders, but well, I'll get used to it, especially if they do some winning. Everybody will get used to
it. Yeah, that's a big if.
Yeah, I know. We're in a rebuilding process, and everybody thinks John Gruden's out to lunch, but
yeah, you and the Boston Celtics.
You don't know how it's going to work out for a couple more years. You got to give it a couple more years to really see how it's all going to work out. But yeah, if by year 3 or 4 we ain't doing no winning, we may have to give him the old heave ho. But I haven't given up on him yet. I was one of the people that wanted John Gruden to come back for over a decade since he left, because I knew when we got rid of him it was a big mistake. And it took a lot longer than I anticipated, and I sure as hell didn't see him coming in and trading Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper. But all in all, we have a whole bunch of money. So I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, as far as the racing goes, I just want to say that tonight was very good as far as the communication on the track, and everybody having respect for everybody, and everybody giving each other room, and the slower cars letting the faster cars go. I just want to say my hats off to all the drivers I told them all that we're a lot better than what we've been producing here lately, and we are. As a collective group, we're a hell of a lot better than the kind of races we've been producing. So I just want to tip my cap to everybody. I want to congratulate Sage, Damon, and Nate there for finishing on the podium. Great job by those guys. And I just want to thank all the other drivers that always come out every week and support Top Fuel Racing. There would be no league without the drivers. So, and lastly, I just want to thank you, Tony. I know today was a tough day for you, all in all, with just your health and how you felt. You said you slept most of the day. And on top of it being the day that your dad died, dude, I know it's a pretty tough day for you. So thank you, man, for taking the time out of your night and being here. And I'm glad you're still here, dude. I'm glad that heart attack didn't get you a couple weeks ago. My dad died of a heart attack 14 years ago, and he didn't get a second chance. He was gone just in that minute. So I'm glad you're here, still here, man. And appreciate you and Sam and everything you guys do for the league. Thanks, buddy.
Well, thank you, Scott. As we're going to take a quick look at the results tonight. Sage Karam completely stinking up the show, leading all 45 laps at tonight's event. Nate Siefker coming home in second place. Damon Martinez, after pit starting, able to scramble back to third. Scott Brinson hanging on for fourth. Keith Mayato for fifth. Sixth place going to Chris Walker. Jeff Wubker hanging on for seventh. Eighth going to Chris Simard. Mark Walker rounding out ninth. And Rolf Just hanging on for 10th. Jeff Hollingsworth, not the points night he was hoping for, coming home in 11th. Raul Alvarez in 12th. Sam Cooper Bennett in 13th. Mike Granty in 14th. Kevin O'Brien in 15th. Paula Crumry 16th. Robert Dudley 17th. Rick Hunderfeen in 18th. And Paul Jourdain rounding out your field in 19th. That is going to do it for us tonight. We will see you next week from Las Vegas. Don't forget to join Sam and Scott tomorrow night as they bring you the Somo Cup Series from Daytona next week.
It's Daytona.
It
man.
is Daytona.
I don't know how my voice is going to hold up for 500 miles, but I'm going to try to hang in there with you, Sammy.
Worst case scenario, I'll be on call and possibly be able to join you guys for that one.
I'd love you if you did, because that would really help me as far as pacing myself for the whole race. Because the little bit of communication I was doing in the room tonight, my throat was really going out there at the end.
Then we will all see you tomorrow night from Daytona for
love
the
you,
Somo Cup Series. Brittany, we all love you, and don't put up with any of this guy's crap.
Never. She never does.